Guys, welcome again to another episode of Wow Expression. We hope you enjoy our conversation today. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. On our last podcast, we got into a lot about abuse in relationships. Today, we would like to continue about planning when you end up in a relationship that is physical abuse or emotional abuse, and you need a certain level of planning when you want to exit these relationships.
Right. And Nadine is definitely the perfect one to lead us off because this is the planner, Miss Plan B.
Plan
So
B.
yes, Miss Plan B. Now that we have recognized like to leave, you
Yes.
know, I
Yeah.
can't stay anymore. What do I do?
The thing is, when we enter a relationship, we always enter with always the best assumptions about the next person, especially like when you enter marriage, you enter with the best assumptions. And a lot of times when, especially a marriage, you see one side of the person, and a lot of times abuse doesn't start until the marriage or the wedding. I know of stories where the once you get married, the week after it started. And I really, people always say when you get married and you're in a serious relationship, you need to join your accounts and things like that. Ladies, I don't believe in that. I think no, you don't know, but that's what I'm saying. You don't sometimes you don't know how the
Right,
relationship
right,
and
right. So always,
yes. Have
so
you
it's almost because I think what you're saying is that marriage and these intimate relationships, sometimes we give up our autonomy and even our financial uh, autonomy and we merge things.
everything? And
Right.
then when you in the heat of the relationship and you realize, wow, this person is emotionally abusing me or physically or verbally, you feel like you're stuck in this place where you can't get out. And a lot of times for women, it's a financial thing. Sometimes you feel like you're trapped because you may have given up your job. Sometimes in an extreme case, you may have given up your job, your livelihood. You put everything into this marriage or relationship thinking that it's going to work out. But what I am saying is you always have an option, a second option. And a simple thing, okay, you merge accounts or whatever, but put aside a little something.
Right.
And when I look up on ways about how to plan to get out of an abusive relationship, they say have a getaway bag. You must have a certain level of planning in this getaway bag, change of clothes, money, established credit, and you must find someone that you can trust to speak to, somebody who understands you and your situation.
It don't just non leave.
Yeah, yeah.
Plan. You know. So okay, you did merge bank accounts.
Mhm.
At now, stashing your money. At however you can, stashing your money as you're saying, right?
So what you all are actually saying is try to maintain some sort of independence getting into a relationship or a marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that when if something should happen, you should have that doorway or a window where you can leave and still have your finances in a place where you can take care of yourself
Yeah.
Yes.
and your children.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
All
I
right.
mean, and that is ideal, but I think because have been again the social condition, the ideal is marriage, right, Sharon?
Okay, love is blind, but marriage is the eye opener. So when we when we get into when one person gets into marriage, they don't expect it. They don't expect to encounter these situations. But I want to I want to agree with in it that yes, you're married to this person. It's time to really know this person because some people after a long courtship they may get married. Some persons may get married after a shorter courtship. But to know this person really takes time, and you should not be ready to give up your independence to the extent of this and knows your whole bank of your financial matters. No, you must maintain some level of independence, even in a marriage. And I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but Delia, I remember you saying quoting your mom one time saying that your mom always said women must maintain a certain amount of mystery about themselves.
Yes.
And part of that mystery is I am one who, my security, my safety is so important to me. And that is not only my physical safety, but my mental, emotional, and financial safety. So for someone like me, yes, I'm in a marriage. I'm not in a marriage, but let's say when I was in a marriage, I can't see me giving up so much of myself that I don't have something secure to secure my future. Because I'm one who solely believe that I am responsible for my well-being.
Okay.
And part of that responsibility to myself will include having something secure for me in case of emergency.
Sharon, you giving from the point of view of us, of yourself. Remember, we tend to be more strong, independent women who have lived and have seen situations to you enter cautiously. What about people who just started their lives and didn't have that experience to know that, not everything is hunky-dory forever? You
And I
understand?
think my parents in preparing their children for adulthood, these are discussions that should always be had. Be it your sons and daughters, not just your daughters, but sons as well. To me, these are all steps that you take in preparing your offspring for adulthood.
So yeah, and I think we need to kind of really make a set a difference between emotional abuse and physical abuse, because I feel like if physical abuse, you are in actual danger, right? You could perhaps lose your life.
Right.
Emotional abuse, yes, it's horrible and it breaks down who you are, but the actual threat of loss of life is not there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a situation where there's the threat of loss of life, you have to go to your next step of planning, which is gathering evidence. Because remember, when you're in a situation where there's the threat of losing your life, you might have to defend yourself. So let's say something terrible happens and that other person is injured or died and they want to take you to court. You would have had your evidence of pictures, you would have made a report, you would have, even if you don't want to make a police report, you would have taken pictures, send it to a trusted friend, go to a doctor, let the doctor do a documented report that you said this was, and he thinks, it's empirical evidence that so you can now defend yourself against what the world might think or what the courts might think.
Exactly, because we also live in a community that feels like these things should be hidden. And it's something
Yes.
wrong with you if you are a victim of abuse. So that mental thing has to be shifted where nothing is wrong with me. It's the abuser who's abusing me. Right?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to take the picture
Yeah.
out of the evidence.
Yeah. And a lot of the times,
Sorry, Nadine, that has always been one of the issues, right? Women who are abused or people who are abused, nobody knows that they are getting abused. And then something happens and the other partner dies and you go to jail for murder or something because nobody know that you have been taking beatings on a regular basis for years. And it just so happened at this one time, you decide to fight back and something, and that happens. So I understand the importance of always documenting, and I think a lot of women too don't like people knowing the business. You know, we put it like that. You know, we don't want our friends or family to know that, you know, this is what is happening. So we hide it. But hiding it is also very dangerous, I think. A lot more dangerous than letting somebody know, a close friend or relative know that this is what's taking place. You know?
And don't hide it and you gather evidence and pictures. You can mitigate the victim shaming. Because remember, when people don't know about it, they say it's not true and they may shame the victim into believing they were wrong. But when you have evidence to show, there's less likelihood of that victim shaming thing. What do you think, Sharon?
Yeah, I agree. But I was just thinking the fact that when you hide, our society has always been has given somehow men the power to abuse women in the sense where women, because of pride or whatever the reason, they hide it. And when you hide abuse, you're empowering your abuser.
Yes.
All you're doing, you're empowering your abuser, and you're also putting your life in danger. So yes, God, as a matter of fact, I had a situation very recently, very, very recently, where I got a phone call, someone's ex had physically attacked the person. And I met them at the station. And when we got there, the police was questioning the victim. And the officer kept saying, a female officer kept saying, have you ever reported this before? This was the third time he'd abused the person. Mm-hmm. And the officer's asking her, have you reported this before? And she said, no. So it impresses upon me, as you said, Nadine, it's important to document this and to make a police report, because like you were saying, if one day this person's been taking abuse all along, and the one day she retaliates or he retaliates, it becomes fatal. Yeah. Where's the evidence to show that there's a paper trail of you making reports of your abuse?
Yes.
So very, very,
and really, hopefully, you want to leave before it gets to that point. Remember, abuse is something that escalates.
Yeah. Correct.
Right. It doesn't start off at 100, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the first time you get that slap, boop, you know, don't say, well, you know, my mouth was really hurting through, you know, and no, that
before the slap, even before that slap, I think there are little things that someone may do, and it makes it quite, oh, what's that about?
Yeah.
But you know, the slap, no, but the slap is the physical. When a person feels that they can dominate you physically by injuring you, your physical presence, your physical being. So it's like, you know.
And one of, as you all were thinking, I remembered something as well. Our police officers don't like to get involved in marital disputes because of the same thing. Nobody wants to report. Nobody wants to stand up and say, no, this is what's happening. Help me, please. The woman will always say, no, my husband didn't do anything. It's okay. So police will go to the home, and then, they have to leave because nobody is saying anything. The woman is not saying anything. So that is also helps.
In that case, you need training by the police to recognize that, and legislation, because in certain states, it's not up to the woman to report it. If police go there and see the abuse, it's no longer up to the woman, because they've been in situations like that before where they know somebody is being abused and they can't do anything about it because the person wouldn't report it. So it's left up to having legislation to protect people from themselves, and training for the police to recognize when this is actually happening.
And I actually think you're highlighting a very good point there, Nadine, because between the stashing the money, gathering the evidence, and actually that physical, removal, right? Yeah. I think somewhere you need counseling.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. You need to get some kind, because relationships, right, affect your brain. Mm. So being in this physically abusive relationship is somewhat addicting, and you get accustomed to the highs and the lows, and you play into that. So you need counseling to help you know that, to shift that reality. Mm-hmm. So, and I think this is where governmental agencies can come in, where they can, at least give women that opportunity to get free counseling, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But what about counseling for the men? Because a lot of the times they don't know that what is causing them to lash out. What is leading up? What is causing that domineering personality? Is it that they feel their masculinity is threatened by, let's say, an independent woman, and the only way to talk to them is physical or emotional or verbal abuse?
Perhaps as soon as police are called to a home, even though charges may be dropped or whatever, there should be an automatic, referral to some kind of counseling service, right?
I believe the court does provide some level of counseling for matters of that nature, though. Once it gets,
but remember, I think it should be like, because I get If the woman says, well, no, then it passes off, but it should be mandatory. Because
yeah.
these things, we know how it happens. It's never a surprise. No man who is perfectly sane, I don't want to say sane, but non-violent, comes home one day and kills his wife.
Yeah.
It almost never
Lead
happens,
up.
right?
Yeah.
It's always cumulative. So if we could intervene at any point in time before that, you know, I think we should try to, right?
Yeah.
And definitely you need that counseling. It's really difficult to make these decisions on your own. You need someone who is not emotionally involved
Yes.
to help and guide you to make that decision about it.
Because remember too, when you're being emotionally and physically abused, your self-esteem, your way of thinking is also being eroded as well. So that's why you need that independent person to say, yes, this is not normal. Because you will reach a stage where you would think, this is normal. This is how the relationship works. Sometimes that's the
You know the famous saying in Trinidad, right? If he don't
you don't love me.
love me, like
Insanity to the highest level.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and then after that you find an opportune moment and get out. If it is that you have a friend, and try to be someone that he doesn't know or he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you have the third step of planning is finding sanctuary. Either you find a shelter, a government agency, you find a pathway to leave, or I have known people who have left the country to escape an abuser. So
You know, as you all saying that there, and something came to mind, right? I know this is a sure sign that somebody that you're with could be abusive.
right.
This person actually isolates you from your family and friends in the beginning of a relationship.
Definitely.
And it just came to mind, but wait now, this happens. So all of a sudden it's like, okay, so Delia and I are friends, but you're only spending so much time with Delia. I want you to spend time with me. And 6 months later, Delia haven't heard from me or seen me because I am so in love with my new guy that I don't want to see Delia. My mother hasn't seen me, my father hasn't seen me, my brothers haven't seen me.
And you know what they say? The men say, you see, this friend thing you like, I don't like this friend thing. That is what they say.
You all need to pay attention to that sort of relationship, because they isolate you from the people who can help you should you need help.
Exactly. And that is common in both emotional and physical abuse. And of course, with most physical abuse situations, there's emotional abuse as well, right? But then we have these women who are in relationships where there's no physical abuse, right?
Right.
And they intrinsically, they know that they deserve better, they should leave, but they're still caught up in a cycle, the same cycle, right? And they also need to make a plan. Again, similar, you don't just jump up one day and say, go on. You know what I mean? And
especially when you have children involved.
Exactly.
Looking for their security and safety as well. And what you're saying about emotional abuse, when there's children involved, let's say somebody is speaking to you a certain way and you don't correct that person, or you are unable to correct that person because one, you may not be aware, or two, you're scared. You are now teaching your child that this is correct, but there's another way to deal with it. When the person leaves, you involve your children in your exit strategy. You tell them if they're old enough that is not normal behavior. I don't want you seeing this. I don't want you growing up in a situation like this. So let's plan our exit. That would be for children who are old enough to understand. But for smaller children, you know, it's just a difficult situation that you have to show them that emotional abuse, somebody talking down to you, you cowering at somebody shouting at you is not normal.
Yeah. And then the gaslighting, making you feel like, you know, you're lazy, because they love to tell you you're lazy. You're incapable of doing particular things, you understand, and just to break you down. So and then
Yeah.
and prior to that, they would have love bombed you. So you were like, oh my God, this person is amazing. Then they started to break you down and they started to withhold love from you. And it's a whole savage cycle.
Yes.
Because I literally had an incident this
Yeah.
weekend where this friend of a friend was in an obviously dysfunctional relationship. And, you know, she was making so much excuses for this person, right? And not remembering, I should say, the fact that she's unhappy 90% of the time. And I think that is a clear sign why you perhaps need to leave an emotionally abusive relationship. If 90% of the time you're unhappy and 10% of the time it's amazing, it's really, really amazing. That is a sign.
Delia, I have something to tell you all. I remember, well, Scarlett and Cameron are in their 20s. When I think about it, my relationship with him was emotionally abusive because he would leave me in the house with the children, go out and hang out with his friends, drink and line, be with other women, and come home 5 o'clock in the morning. And when I say I need a phone at home, he told me, what you need a phone for? For man to call you? But it was a plan to get out of the situation. I had to get a phone, I had to organize a job, and it did come with opposition, but I had to put those things in place. You understand? Because he wasn't hitting me, but I was in this house feeling, and he used to leave me with his outside child too. So my 2 children, he bring his child, the next one, and I there with these children, and he coming home drunk, sometimes bringing his friends to the house at 4 in the morning drunk, disturbing the children, the friends walking, you know, and you feel like you don't have a voice.
Yeah.
When you're in a verbal abusive relationship, you feel like you don't have a voice, and you have to be strong, stand up and put things in place to secure your future. One thing that I remember I did when I got into my relationship, all I had was A levels. And what I started to do was educate yourself. You know, do a certificate in something, do a trade. I went on to do a diploma and then an associate degree. And because when you have your education, your horizons are more open. You can apply for a job. There are different advantages of trying. It's a way to get out of the situation as well.
Yeah.
But you know, Nadine, as you said that, I remember also, there are situations where women have empowered themselves through education and different means. Yeah. And they started off with this particular individual and they have grown out of the relationship, but it's with the same person. This person recognizing that the woman had outgrown the relationship begins to abuse them.
Yes.
And then another question I wanted to ask too is, I have heard, as crazy as it sounds, I have heard situations where this woman meets this guy. She has her own home and she brings him to live in her home. And this man is abusing her in her home, in her house. Like when I heard I was like, what? So how do you deal with that? How do you because you're not gonna leave your house maybe for a while he gets his life in order. But how do you deal with that? The irony of a man that you brought to your home will abuse you in your own home. I mean, it's crazy.
That is very simple, Sharon. You just wait until he leaves. You take up everything that belongs to him. You put it out. You change your locks. You call the police, and you just wait. And no fight, no fuss.
Brothers or cousins or somebody who could come stay in the house for like a little few days because you know he's gonna show up and try and pound on, you know.
Right.
So, you know, all those things. But
even so, haven't gone through those measures, yes, these are the characters who will meet you at your workplace, or you're going to a taxi and they're in the taxi, you know, it's while those are the easier steps, we have to go beyond that because they find you, they know where you work, they can't just because of this crazy.
And I almost think wisdom must be applied in each situation in a unique way, right?
Yes.
Because as Sharon, you're fully in your right to say, get the hell out of here. right? But you want to live.
Yes.
You want to live. So, you know, like for me, I think something like that, you change the lock, shut the house. And if it's possible, you move away from the same house. You understand? You know,
Yeah.
move yeah, because you have to also, you know, this is where that relationship with the divine comes in. Because each situation is unique and you may have to do something particularly unique for you to get out. And you have to remember that. You can't just follow the playbook. Yeah, this is just a guide, but
Yes.
you also have to know and understand the variables in your situations. Because you want to come alive with your children. Like, you are worthy. You are worth more than being beat down like a dog at the women fancy of another individual. No man can just come and box you down and you're like, you know what I mean?
But
In a relation that is abusive, both physically and emotionally, it is difficult. It is difficult. And Nadine, as you're saying, it requires a plan.
yes.
Right?
And a lot of support, a lot of support.
Plan and support.
Family, friends, community, churches.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it could be done.
Yes.
And loads of women have done it. And, you know, they have come to the other side and they are blossoming, blooming and living their best lives. So if you're out there in that situation, know that you can do it. You know, you can become the best version of yourself if you are in any situation that is not honoring that.
Yeah.
Best of who you are. You got to do what you got to do. Okay. So again, thank you for viewing. Please like, continue to share and subscribe.
And make a comment.
All of that good stuff. And yeah, let's grow the family, let's grow the channel, and let's have these important conversations. Okay? See you next time.
Bye.